things you're gonna wanna need before you start. Towels, a pump, very, very helpful, extremely helpful. Got this one at Lowe's. What it looks like. And then you're gonna start by just taking off cover, all of it, and undoing these screws. They should just unscrew like this. We're going to take off all of the panels and this cover. Now, if you've been maintaining your beds correctly, you're going to have this white powder. It's just baby powder, and that's to keep the barrier from sticking to the cover. So that's totally normal. We're gonna clean all that up and then even add some back. Now at this point, you're going to unscrew all of these. And these should just be hand tight. You don't need to crank on these when you're putting them back in. So now you're gonna undo all these, take these off. I like to label these parts. This one says right, it's user right. This one says top, because putting them back on is kind of difficult to remember because they look very similar. This one will say what it is somewhere. So just a tip, just label them. This last one is a little weird because the screen goes down through the hole. So it's really easy. All you have to do is pull. I don't know if I can do it one-handedly. All you do is pull this up and then you pull it out like that. And then you can just put this back in. You don't even have to don't set it down. I wouldn't risk setting it on the ground because you don't want your screen to get ruined. So then that one's off. Now you're gonna clean all of these. So I like to take the panels outside and just spray them down with a hose and scrub them, rinse them off real good. These I normally just clean with a rag. You're also gonna wanna clean these. So if you're not replacing your barrier, take it in the shower or outside and rinse it off really good. Scrub it. I use just regular dish soap. That's fine. And scrub brush. Take it outside, scrub it, and then we're gonna bring it back in. Oh, and this just pops out like this. Pretty simple. Something important at this point, want to really remember is you need to pull out this filter and clean it also. This is especially important on the recliners. And if your beds are overheating, this is one of the things to check to make sure that this is clean. So on your recliners, you're gonna need a ratchet to get it off because there's 4 nuts on it, but these ones on the lay down just pull out. So you just pull it out and then you just go rinse it out really well. And then I like to do this cleaning part first so I can leave these to dry, because this filter especially takes a really long time to dry. Ooh, a nickel. So now you're gonna connect your pump. When you take off this, your water shouldn't stink. If it does, you might want to check that your quarterly maintenance is being done with the defoamer. It'll kill anything in there also. A little bit of murkiness is totally normal, but it shouldn't stink to the pump. This pump I connect to a power strip because it turns on when it's plugged in. And I have it labeled in and out because I'm dumb. And then this is the best way to drain your bed that I've found. Let's see, can you see? I've tried like shop vacs and just like bailing it out, and this is by far the best. So you're gonna connect your pump to that spout there. If I can do it one-handedly. This one right here, this one. Open up your water here. This will open up the water going to the pump. And then sometimes there's some sediment in there that gets stuck, so I like to just do it a few times to loosen all that up. This pump that I have, it's not good for it to run dry, so you want to start the water before you turn on the pump. I don't know, you might get a nicer one that works better, but that's how mine works. And you're just going to turn on the pump and pump out all the water. These take 30 gallons, hopefully some honey, so that's why the mop buckets come in handy. Now you're going to clean all in here. So I just use a rag with some disinfectant. You want to get up here by the net also. Sometimes you really gotta scrub. This all the way around. Okay, now you're going to take off some of the net and scrub the inside. So the trick here is to only take off like like a few sections at a time. So like I'm gonna take off down here and then scrub this section. You can use regular water for this. It doesn't have to be distilled. And I do use the dish soap. So let me see, I don't know if I can hold this and show you, but how I release it is I pull it here to kind of release the tension, and then I use the screwdriver to pop them off. So I pull it and then pop it off, but I can't do it with one hand. This is what it should look like, just open enough so you can reach your hand in there. And then you're gonna use your soap and your scrubber and scrub all of this stuff, everywhere, all of it. And then you're gonna rinse with just regular tap water. And then we're gonna pump out the rinse. So I like to use a watering can, tap water's fine, you can use whatever. You have to stick your pump down there to get the last little bit of water. Now you gotta clean out these. So there's two of them. To do that, you have to use pliers and release this like locking thing. I don't know if you can see. Release this thing. That just works like this. Squeeze it, and then we'll pull it down. Like that. And then you just yank it straight out. When you do that, it's going to spill a bunch of water. So just be prepared. Then you're going to use, I have one of these things, like a pipe cleaner, and just stick it up in there. And this is actually for your pressure sensor, so you can tell how much pressure is in there. So you're just gonna clean it out really good. You're gonna put your net back on. You can see how I just took out a couple sections, enough so I could reach into it and scrub it out, reach all the sections. So there is actually a tool right here that you can use. It's pretty neat. And what you do is you just count the sections that you need. Pop it back on like that. If you don't have this, you can also use a screwdriver, flathead. Just go like that. And now you're gonna refill your bed. You need 30 gallons of distilled water. It has to be distilled. Doesn't matter what containers you get them in, just has to be distilled. And you need your defoamicide. And I like to just fill it up and dump them on the top here. If you like wait to fill it up, then you have to put all your water through there. So that's not my favorite. At this point, you want to plug in your bed because surprisingly, it actually takes a while for the water to warm up. It'll make like weird clicking, grinding noises if the water's not warm enough. So you can plug it in, get a head start on that, and then get a rag and make sure you're dry all in here. Getting ready for your barrier to go back on. So now the retainer ring that you cleaned, you're actually gonna want to repowder it. So this is just baby powder. All you do is you squirt some on there, and then you take this, and then if you can see, all you do is you pull it through. Jeez, I can't do it one-handedly. Okay, you just pull it through like this, and you just like lightly powder the whole thing, and that's so it doesn't stick. Like if this will heat up and actually end up sticking in there, and then you've ruined your barrier and your retainer ring. So just squirt some baby powder on there and wrap it up in there, and then just pull it through. Yeah, I can film one-handed, look at that. All the way to the end. So your barrier goes down with the shiny side toward the water. There's a shiny side and a less shiny side. So make sure that that's all laid out, and then your retainer ring. This is a crack that I previously have fixed with epoxy. If that happens to your bed, it's actually a structural defect from Hydromassage, and they'll send you a kit on how to fix it. So then you just get this thing in. Then you're gonna, I just kind of loosely do it all around because you're gonna get it in all the way before you put your plates back on. And then your plates, so then you're gonna put your plates back on, which you conveniently labeled so you know where to put which one. This part is extremely difficult and frustrating on the loungers. So if you've never done this before, I recommend starting on the laydowns. It'll be a much less suicidal learning process. So how these go on is this barrier folds over this way, and then the plate comes over it, and then you got your screws. So let's see if I can do it one-handedly. Slide that over. I use a screwdriver a lot to help me line up my holes. This one's pretty far off, so you just stick it where you want your holes to be, and it'll help you line them up, just like that. Then this Band-Aid is not going to stay. Okay, don't tighten that very much because you might have to take off plates, readjust things, move things around. Just barely like start it in all the holes. 1, 2, 3. Then you're gonna do that all the way around. Get all the rest of your plates, get them all on. Yeah. When you're doing this, start at one side and work your way around. Don't jump from like top to bottom. Another tip on these is the newer ones, I'm really not a fan of them. They're really hard to get in here in this crack. They actually have a thicker top and a thinner bottom. So if you're having trouble getting it in, that's one of the things you can check. Also at this point, or really any point before you put the cover back on, it's an excellent time to clean underneath your bed and look for treasures. Okay, now you're gonna go around and tighten up all your screws all the way. These ones, just hand tighten them. They don't need to be like super, super, super tight. So go around and do all that. And At this point, I like to run the bed and test it. The code is start it from back here, and I like to run it like at a high pressure. Oops. And you're just checking for any leaks as it runs. I don't like putting on the cover yet until I run it at least once or twice. Don't forget to put your filter back on down there. I also like to check my settings in here, make sure the temperature is correct and all of that. I changed ours here in Cheyenne to 8. Here you just want to check your temperature, that's good. This level obviously hasn't adjusted yet, but we're good. Also, you can access any like errors in here. It says it's cold, that's fine. If it won't start, just give it a while to warm up before you're contacting Hydromassage. Now you put your covers back on, tighten them up, just hand tight, doesn't have to be super tight. And then before you put your cover back on, you're going to take your baby powder. This is going to prevent the cover from sticking to the barrier. When it heats up, sometimes it sticks, and this will help everything last longer.